Hello, I'm Gary Patterson, the corporate chef here at McCormick for Chefs. I'm going to talk a little bit about pizzas today and how to take your pizzas and flatbreads from mainstream to premium. And I'm going to talk a little bit about sequencing ingredients properly helps preserve the flavor, the texture, and the high quality. And most importantly, especially for take home and delivery, the visual. How does it look when it gets to the customer? Ways to amp up the crust is really it's a great trick to be able to share with customers. Think in terms of post and pre-bake though. When you're taking a crust and you're seasoning it, sometimes you'll take and brush it with some butter or oil, olive oil or something like that to get the seasoning to stick. But also understanding the oven that they're using, whether it's an impenger, which is the conveyor type, or whether it's a deck oven, which is more like a brick oven, or even for that case, a fire burning, like a wood stove oven or something like that. When you're doing that pre-bake crust seasoning, keep in mind you want something that's going to be a little bit more robust that can handle that top heat so that it doesn't burn during the cooking process. So the everything seasoning is a great one to put on there. It's going to add that garlic and onion and sesame. And you will need something most likely like an oil or a butter to get it to stick. Black and white sesame seeds is a great way to go. But if I was doing something like Old Bay or Chipotle or even Aleppo, that's something that I would most likely finish at the end because a lot of times that heat will actually take away some of the flavor. If you're smelling the aroma, that's lost flavor potential. So adding different seasonings at the end is important as well because that'll preserve the aroma, the flavor, and the visual appeal because some items will burn. So knowing those ingredients. When you get into signature sauces, there's kind of two schools of thought. There's the white pizza, which generally may be a flavor to olive oil, and we'll demonstrate that in the Margherita pizza at the end of this. But mixing seasonings with oil and brushing it on your dough or the flatbread is a great way to deliver flavor. But then when you start plussing up the traditional tomato sauce, you want to get some heat into it, you can do buffalo. Or if you want to do something that's really fiery hot, you can do the Frank's Original. But you can also take and add different seasoning blends to it to boost those flavors as well. And that's where we talk about things like cayenne or sriracha can be a nice boost in the McCormick Culinary lineup. The Frank's seasoning is a great way without thinning down the sauce. When we talk about cheeses, this is where the building of the pizza gets kind of, it depends on the style of pizza, I should say. So sometimes you want the cheese to insulate things that might burn. So this is where I'll talk about the cheese, but it may come before or after vegetables, and the same thing for the meats. So cheese is a great way to deliver seasoning as well. You could take something like an Italian seasoning and blend it with cheese, and that'll give it a really nice hearty flavor of the oregano and the thyme that are really synonymous with traditional pizza. But if you really wanted to plus it up, you could take small batches of cheese and add the Frank's seasoning or Aleppo chilies that will give it a nice visual appeal, but it'll also give it some flavor as well. The reason you don't want to season cheese too far in advance is sometimes the salt that's in a seasoning blend will actually dry out the cheese and prevent it from melting. So something like Montreal steak would be a great seasoning to add to cheese in small batches because it does have a lot of salt. But if you're doing something like the black and blue pizza we're going to demonstrate at the end, it's a great way to mix it in with the cheese and deliver that iconic flavor and make it a simple process to build the pizza. I think vegetables are always an important component in pizzas, and I think as people start looking at pizzas as something healthier that they could eat, you want those to be placed nicely so that they're visually appealing. So nice bright bell peppers or fresh jalapenos for spiciness, or blanched and shocked broccoli or cauliflower are nice additions as well. So making sure that they're not too much of the vegetables on there. Onions are a great way to go too, but I always like to roast them first. Maybe season them with some just simple salt and pepper. Roasting pulls out some of the moisture, and moisture is the enemy of any pizza when you're building it. If it's too wet, the dough gets soggy or it doesn't cook all the way through. And in some cases, the dough gets so wet that you'll actually go to scrape it up with a pizza peeler. As it comes off of the screen coming out of an impinger oven, you'll actually get holes in the pizza, which is really frustrating for the operator. So knowing those little tips and tricks is important. When it comes to proteins as a topping on pizzas as well, I lean towards the school of thought is quality over quantity. So if you've got a really high quality sausage or salami or prosciutto or bacon or something like that, having a really high quality one and using the proportionate amount versus putting oodles of it on there, which overloads it and takes away from it. I lean on the side of going with less is more. Finishing those pizzas, as I talked about, the crust with an edge seasoning is a great way to go. You can also brush some olive oil or butter onto that crust as well to help the seasoning stick, but it also makes it look shiny and fresh. And then you can always use fresh herbs as a finish on top of a pizza or different blends. So what we are going to have is 3 videos that we're going to demonstrate to you, as I mentioned. The first one's a black and blue pizza, and that pizza is featuring the Montreal steak seasoning. This is about a 15-second video, but I think it's really compelling to see how this is used in a really quick, unique way that you can actually share out with customers as well. The grilled chicken carbonara is a great pizza as well. This one features granulated garlic and black pepper. It's just a great way to be able to take and tie something that's traditionally a pasta dish to a pizza and a flatbread. And when you do that, it creates that social, compelling, post that somebody might take pictures of and want to put out on Instagram. And those kind of things drive customers in and help the customer build their business. And that's what it's really about today. And the last one's one of my favorites. It's a Margherita pizza. This particular one's using fresh mozzarella. One of my personal favorites is burrata cheese, but this one we did with mozzarella. And we used the McCormick Culinary Italian seasoning, which is really one of my favorite seasonings when it comes to doing pizzas and pastas and sauces as well. So I want to thank you for the training time, the opportunity to get in front of you and talk about our portfolio a little bit, and we'll leave you with those 3 videos. Thank you, and have a great day.